It's Mike from Lux Blocks, and today we're talking about prisms. You can see the prisms are bounded by rectangles and squares on the sides, and then the top and bottom have the same polygon. And it's either a square or a triangle or a pentagon, a hexagon, and it could be an octagon. It could be any kind of polygon on the top and bottom, but the sides are always bounded by these walls of either squares or rectangles. So let's look at first the triangle. So a triangle prism, okay, is basically a triangle on the top and the bottom. The way you would make it is you can start with just taking 3 Lux, putting them together and forming them around into a triangular prism. And you can continue that prism on and on and on. If you just saw then, this prism has been bounded so the dimple is on the outside. That's a big thing in Lux you have to be concerned about, because if you're not aware of where your dimples are, you see the dimples are on the inside here. These two prisms will not go together because the connectors are inverted from each other. Okay? So the way I make this prism here go onto the other prism is, I would say, since this is smaller, I'll change it and leave this one alone. I'm going to open it up, flip it around, so now the dimples are on the outside, just like this one. And now all I have to do is connect it like this and hinge it right over, and that should snap into place. And I can make this thing very, very long. That's a triangular prism with an open side on the front and the back. I can close this side up by simply adding a trigon. So a trigon would be one of these guys here. This is a trigon. It's a triangular shaped, 3-sided Lux. And the way you do that is, the best way to put a trigon onto something is to take the open end. See, you see here that opening right there? If I use that as my first one to go on, usually that enables you to make a very easy connection for placing it on there. So that's a trigon capping off a triangular prism. There are other prisms too. The square prisms, of course, are rather simple because they're like cubes, right? Especially if you cap it off on the top. In fact, a cube is a square prism. It's just a rather short, very symmetrical square prism. Okay, but we can elongate that prism. You can make that indefinitely long. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that off again. That square I just put it on there, and I can cap it on like this. And as you see, that is a square prism. Square in the top, square in the bottom, but a long rectangles on the side. You can make this indefinitely long, but to keep it a prism, it have to have the same top and bottom. Square prism. Then we have a pentagonal prism. See the pentagon polygon on the bottom, pentagon polygon on the top, but here we have 5 trigons in kind of what really is just a pyramid, because the pentagons, since they are really equilateral triangles, they will not flatten down into a flat pentagonal shape. They will start rising up. When you have equilateral triangles, and you put 6 of them together, they will flatten out into this nice hexagon shape. But 5 they'll start to force their way up into a pyramid. Okay, so you look at this 5 guy here, this 5 pentagon on top, pentagon on the bottom, but it's a prism. Okay, and if we open it up, you can see how essentially what we had was 5 by whatever. Whatever is the length of the polygon, the height. So what you have here is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 2 tall, 2 TWO tall, and then I snap them together, just like this. See, they're all together over here. And now look what we have. We have this nice pentagon. But if I don't secure the top and the bottom with some kind of structure, you're going to notice that this is a very interesting little polygon, prism, because it'll want to squeeze into other shapes. One shape it'll want to squeeze to right away is a trapezoid. Okay, it's a trapezoid. It'll also want to squeeze into this little house shape right here. Okay, but that's not really as stable. This is more stable. I can put pressure on that trapezoid, and that's a pretty strong little structure. Okay, so that is the pentagon. It wants a shape shift. It's not really structural. The triangle is structural. The triangle, it's not going to go anywhere. The square is also not structural. If I was to take out, I'll just take my pencil here and pop this out here, and I'll take my axle and pop out the other end here. Now I see you have this square prism. This also is not structural, because now the hinges here, these hinges, okay, these linkages, now it's a 4-bar linkage, and so I want to go back and forth from rhombus, stable, then unstable as it shifts and phases over to the other rhombus on the other side. The square is just the middle of the phase shift. The square actually is wobbly. It has no real structure. There's no force that wants to keep that square square. But if I apply force here, top and bottom, and squish it, it kicks out the sides and goes into that nice rhombus. If I apply forces here, okay, and free up the top and bottom, it'll want to go to it'll squeeze up in that shape of a rhombus. So you see here how a square is inherently unstable and dynamic, which is actually a nice state to be in. Okay, again, the triangle is stable. The square is not stable. The pentagon is not stable. It wants to squish into these other shapes. And lastly, we'll talk about is the hexagonal polygon. Again, same sides, 2 squares tall, but now we have a hexagon, the top and the bottom. Hexagon is a 6-sided polygon. If I take these trigons off, these 6 trigons, here, and on the other side, put my finger in there, just pop them right off, you're going to see even a more fluid shape. The hexagon will want to go into a 2-sided polygon called, again, an equilateral triangle. Okay, but these things could kick out and form what are called, again, a hexagon. Let's see what else we can shape this into. Oh, I can turn it into like a little parallelogram here. That's nice. A little hourglass shape. Wants to do that. What else can it be shaped into? Let's see here. Not that many things. Oh, we call these chevrons. Aren't those nice? That's called a chevron. And so those are some of the shapes that this will want to go to. Like a bow tie shape, hourglass, chevron, which is nice, and hexagon, and a rectangle or parallelogram. So that is the other prism that we were looking at today. So again, prisms are very easy to make. Usually just start with a strip. Whatever the frequency of the prism is will be the number of pieces on your strip. So that would be a hexagonal because it's 6. If I took this off and refolded it together and snapped it, of course it's 5, so it would turn into a pentagon. Those are prisms. We'll be revisiting prisms again and again with Lux because the universe basically has kind of 2 states, I like to think of it as. The prismatic state and the anti-prismatic state. Prisms and anti-prisms. It sounds like science fiction and it's really cool and it's real. So I'll see you next time at luxblocks.com. This is Mike.